We are so excited to be broadcasting on Zoom tonight from Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Katie Paris. I'm the founder of Red, Wine, and Blue, and this is
Janice Robinson here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out North Carolina.
Janice is our North Carolina state director. She runs the whole team here in North Carolina at Red, Wine, and Blue. And so I'm super thrilled to get to co-host with her tonight, especially for such a special guest.
Well,
thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we've already gotten through my first favorite part of these anyway, where the chat blows up with where everyone is Zooming from. You know, we're here in North Carolina. I've seen dozens of other states already. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I'm Katie. Welcome to Red, Wine, and Blue. If you've been here many times or this is your first time tonight, we're so glad you're here. Red, Wine, and Blue is a community of hundreds of thousands of suburban women all across the country who are standing up, fighting right-wing extremism in our communities and all across the country, because we know there's so much on the line, not just this election cycle, but we are in this for good with each other. We only started a few years ago, but already there's over 400,000 of us here together, many of us here tonight, but all across the country participating in other ways too, because we get together in a different way. We show up for each other, we support each other, and that's what we hope that you feel tonight by participating. I want us just to acknowledge, Janice, how many days out are we?
I think 12.
She's right. It's 12.
12 days.
It's 12 days out.
Wow.
And this is what has been on my heart all day. It is this feeling being with these amazing women in Charlotte.
Yeah.
There is so many of these women who were never engaged before the 2016 election. And they became engaged after the 2016 eletion because they had this feeling of like, honestly, guilt, if we're being honest, of like, I didn't do enough. And they said, I never want to feel that way again. And so what I'm thinking about with 12 days out is the energy that these women are bringing this time, because they want to feel no regrets, no matter what. I want to leave it all on the table.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. They are determined. They are determined that they will not go down. This thing will not happen without them making sure that the last bit of energy that they have is poured out on November the 8th.
Yeah. And you can see it here.
Yeah.
Okay. So at Red, Wine, and Blue, we have a very specific way of leaving it all on the table. Here's what we do here. We are asking you to talk to everyone you know about voting. We are asking you to assume nothing. I think sometimes we think, oh, everyone I know is voting, not necessarily in the midterms and not all the way down the ballot. There's a good chance if you live in North Carolina that your friends don't actually realize how much is at stake with the state legislature. That if the state legislature goes to a Republican supermajority, that it doesn't matter if there's a Democratic governor here anymore, that they can just have their way.
Right. Game over if that happens.
Exactly. And there are stakes just that high all across this country in these local races. So it's all the way down the ballot. You can be the one that makes sure that they vote all the way down the ballot. And please don't assume that they're voting in these midterms. So tonight we're going to talk about how to have those conversations. And sometimes that requires being a little bit brave. So we're going to talk about that too. And the other thing we're going to be asking you tonight, and now we're going to bring up a slide, is that we're going to ask you to track your progress as you have these conversations by letting us know on our really easy to use website, Rally, who you're talking to. You're going to match them to the voter file. It's like the easiest thing. It's like way easier than any of my kids' video games. Okay. Navigating this thing. Way easier. Don't seem very hard. Yeah. No. Okay. So we want to do this so we can track our progress together and so we can raise money for a really urgent cause. Okay. Because the impacts of right-wing extremism across this country right now are hurting women in critical need of access to healthcare. And so what we're doing at Red, Wine, and Blue to really give you that extra motivation to get out the vote is that we're saying for every 10 friends that you tell us you're contacting, you match on the Rally website, which is easy. We're going to donate $50 every time you match 10 to your state's local abortion fund. They need to be in Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, or Pennsylvania, because those are the states that Red, Wine, and Blue is running this program in. But you don't have to live in those states to match voters in those places. So I'm asking every single person, if you have not gotten on Rally yet, to use this QR code or the link in the chat to go and log in to Rally right now. And we're going to be walking you through that in a little while. But if you go ahead and get a jump start right now, you're going to have all the more time to add contacts, and we're going to raise all the more money tonight. This is a first of its kind program. And we're really excited about doing good
Yeah,
by
it's
doing
awesome.
good
Oh yeah, it's awesome too. And I think you can raise up to $500
per
So that's
person.
per person,
I
right?
mean, that means tonight we could raise many thousands of
Yes,
dollars.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
It's
we're gonna
incredible.
yeah. Okay. So with that, I don't know. Do you want to invite someone else on?
I think so. We have a very, very special guest, and I'm a huge fan. And let's bring up Julie Louis-Dreyfus. And so I'm so excited. You're Elaine to me, but hey, that's just me. I was watching episodes this morning at 2 a.m. when I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I just
This
love
is true
you.
about Janice. She sends messages at very strange hours. Many things we love about her.
They'll get them when they wake up.
Thank you for
Hi,
including me.
Julia.
Hi, I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for including me. I love what you guys are doing with my heart and soul.
Oh, that means so much to us. Our heart and souls are in this work too. And to have you right there with us is just absolutely amazing.
I certainly am.
So Julia, as far as we can tell, we have never seen actually a program like this where like for getting out the vote, for reaching out to your friends, which by the way, I mean, it's the most effective way to impact voters. You know,
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, I'd just love to hear, you are very active politically. And I can only imagine how many people are asking for your time and help with their causes. And so I would just love to hear like, what do you know about relational organizing, this idea of reaching out to friends and family? And then, this further, I guess I'm looking for a little validation here, Julia. What do you think about relational organizing and us incentivizing it, doing good by doing good?
Well, first of all, if I were giving you a grade, I'd give you an A+, if that means anything. I'm not a teacher, but I would do it. I believe in the power of women to have conversations. And I believe that everything that's at stake in this election and the elections beyond this election and the elections before us there are issues at stake that impact women so fundamentally that for us to not be a part of this dialogue is insane. And I do also believe that, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, that there is such a huge chasm. There's such a huge divide between the supposed, what shall we say, the right and the left wing of the party. But you know what? I don't buy it. I actually don't buy it. I think that there is a way, and I think this is what your organization is doing. I think there's a way into tapping into our common humanity that is what you guys are doing so well to affect change, to benefit everybody, for example, this issue of the right to choice, come on, that's not a left or right wing issue. That's an issue for women. That's an issue for the autonomy over our bodies. This is your body. It's my body, and this is something that I really do believe both sides of the aisle feel very strongly about. So I am delighted that about the approach that you're taking. I think you have all of the statistics to back up what you're doing with amazing results. And I'm here to support it. I really am. I think it's unbelievably, I believe in it, period. I believe in it.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Julia, thank you so much for that. And, we have, and we are reaching out to women across the spectrum because we are nonpartisan.
Yes.
And we have many women who have not gotten involved or active before. Yes. And they're doing it for the first time. And so with our troublemaker trainings, we're teaching them how to do it. And so when did you first start getting active politically? What kind of motivated you to start getting active?
Gosh, well, to tell you the truth, I grew up in a household where, for example, not voting or not partaking in an election was as bad as swearing and getting drunk. It was not acceptable in any way. In fact, I know my mother would prefer for us to get drunk and start swearing around the house the not vote. I mean,
Wow.
that was sacrosanct in our family. And as I became older and I started to sort of realize that I could get out there and canvas, and, you know, as a young adult, I became first involved in the Gore campaign back in the day. And then, my first son was born during, right after, am I right about that? Or yes, when Clinton was first elected. And all of a sudden I felt kind of an urgency about the world of politics and activism specifically. I felt an obligation to do it. And as I became more sort of known and I had more of a sort of a platform, as it were, I felt an obligation to spotlight causes with sort of the spotlight that I was under, to sort of shift it to issues that I thought were of import to the general public. You know, I felt an obligation to do that just as a citizen. And I've been doing it ever since. So it's been quite a while that I've been involved with political activism, but it's sure ramped up in the last, I'm going to say, I don't know what, 15 years or so. I mean, I took my kids when they were young, I took them and we were canvassing in Nevada and other states and doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Julia, how do you decide? I mean, something we talk a lot as moms who are super busy, you know, and, you know, like balancing a million things, whether it's, you know, kids, work, community obligations, like all the laundry, the things, you know.
Yeah.
I think women really want to be like both efficient and strategic with their time. And
Totally.
You're a mom. You're also, you know, kids are grown now, but like you can relate to that with the career that you lead as well. How do you pick and choose? How do you decide between, because it can be very overwhelming, right? When it just feels like the world's on fire and there's so much pain and hurt, and how do you make those decisions?
I'm not going to lie, it's a hard choice, right? I mean, when I was a younger mom, like I said, I would involve my own kids in this. I took my children to the polls with me when I was voting, and I'd bring them into the booth with me and show them what I was pushing and so on. And like I said, I canvassed with them. And as they've grown up and so on, it's really about sort of what, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I can't say to you, I know what's the most important issue ever. I can't say that, but I can tell you what gets me as a human being. I am worried about what we're up against right now. I'm worried about the state of our democracy. I'm not going to lie. And I'm worried about our civil liberties being taken away, not just as women, but as human beings. Racism and anti-Semitism that seems to be kind of rearing, not kind of, that is rearing its nasty ass head. So therefore I make decisions based on that, which includes giving my time to down ballot races and critical states, which is something I know you guys are very focused on. I'm focused on that as well. I'm absolutely committed to so many down ballot candidates, be it in state legislatures, state Supreme Courts, state attorney generals. I'm trying to focus in and draw focus to those races in states that are very, I mean, frankly, all states, right? But right now, you know, you can't, I'm looking right now at critical states where there is real urgency and a possible danger of losing our position. So that's been my focus right now. And I think it's a good one to have. I understand you guys are a nonpartisan group. Having said that, I think the right wing has been very skillfully focused. They've been very focused on down ballot races for many, many years. And it's something that I believe the Democrats need to do or must do. And so I very much support that focus on candidates who can shift our lives in a way that's palpable.
Absolutely.
Shift how we live our lives in a palpable way.
And there is no, Red, White, and Blue doesn't hesitate for a moment to name exactly who the candidates are who align with our values.
Good.
And there just are not, there aren't many Republicans out there willing to stick up for, women, kids lately. So we're very clear about that.
But maybe one day, right? I mean, wouldn't that be nice?
We would like that. We would love that. And we would welcome it with open arms. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, I so appreciate what you're saying. And the down ballot focus is 100% a decision we've made in terms of where the energy is needed and where it hasn't always been. And so where we really need to show up. We also recognize that it is very easy to become overwhelmed. That's when we, face things like, feeling burnt out and you feel like you can't do anything. And we also know that that's the right wing strategy, is to wear us out, make us feel so tired and distracted and just there's so much all the time to just disengage. And so we know our power is in recognizing that that is happening and refusing to disengage. And we know the best antidote is our connection among each other to not allowing that, because it's only really in isolation that you get that disengagement. As long as we're connected together and supporting each other, that's more powerful.
That's right. So, that's totally right. The connection, the human connection that we have to one another is the fuel for all of this, is it not? I mean, and I think that's particularly nowadays with the pandemic, which has been so torturous for everybody. I think it's critical to stay connected to your friends, the people that you're working with in this endeavor. And, something comes to my mind. My son had a 5th grade teacher who used to say about the feeling of being overwhelmed with just schoolwork. And I know it seems very simplistic, but she just used to say, let's break it down into manageable parts. I mean, it does feel like a lot. You want to shift the focus of the goddamn country. And so, but if you can break it down into manageable parts, and I'll be so curious to listen to the breakdown of the training and so on today on this call. But, if it's just one conversation, you don't have to have 10 all at once. If it's just one, isn't that progress? Isn't that moving in the right direction? And then if you're tired, okay, give yourself that space. I don't know. I just, I think it's important to recognize the feeling of being overwhelmed, to own it, and then see if you can move on past it through companionship with other folks. And with that idea that a tiny little bit, a tiny step in a certain direction is a step in a certain direction, right?
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so true, Julia. And I think about, sometimes one can get overwhelmed just listening to all the negative reports on TV. And as they keep repeating the right-wing talking points and the doom and gloom, I, for one, just pretty much got up, just stopped listening to watching all of this stuff.
Which is maybe how you're able to stay so dang focused.
That's right, exactly.
So focused. Love it. Okay, so someone else who does an amazing job, I think, of breaking things down into parts. Amanda Stratton is with us, who's a Red, White, and Blue member. She lives in West Michigan. And, this is a more conservative area. Amanda grew up in a conservative family. Amanda's parents and other folks in her family voted for Trump. And, the big deal going down, in addition to all of the electoral races in Michigan this year, is there is a proposal on the ballot to put a constitutional amendment through that will protect reproductive freedom. And that's going to protect the state from reverting back to this 1931 law that, will make reproductive freedom not exist at all. No exceptions even for rape or incest. So Amanda, I would love to have you come on and just share with us some of the conversations that you've been having, in not always the easiest territory, and just doing it in such a way I admire.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my story with you. I am from West Michigan, born and raised here. It's a very conservative area. Like Katie mentioned, my family is mostly Republican. I do have a few family members that do kind of lean Democrat. I'm a married mom of 2, and I live in a suburb of Grand Rapids. I have a bachelor's degree in education. So that's just a little background info about me. So I talked to Katie a few weeks ago. This kind of all like snowballed from there because I shared with her that I had this really hard conversation with my mom. My family, we never really talked about politics growing up, but I always just knew my family was mostly Republican. But once Trump was elected, my mom started posting more and more pro-Trump things on her Facebook page or anti-Biden things on her page. And here in Michigan, we have a heated race for governor. So Tudor Dixon is the Republican candidate. And if you don't know anything about her, she has a very strong stance against abortion. She believes that nobody should have an abortion, even in cases of rape and incest. And so my mom posted something shared from Tudor's Facebook page onto her own Facebook page, just some misinformation. And I have a background in education, and it had to do with the education system. So I called my mom right away, and I was like, Mom, this is blatantly false information. And I was just like, do you understand who Tudor is, like how she feels about abortion? And so I have a history of infertility. My husband and I experienced several years of secondary infertility, and I had 5 miscarriages in between my son and my daughter. And so I just kind of went into it and explained, like, if this extreme situation that we're in right now, if these abortion bans across the country were in effect a few years ago when we were experiencing this struggle, I probably would not have received the same care that I was able to. So I had to have an emergency D&C. I had 2 D&Cs, but one of them was an emergency situation. If I didn't receive that care, I very well could have bled out. It was just an extremely emotional, it was the lowest point in my life. It was so mentally exhausting and draining. And to not be able to access this healthcare, abortion is healthcare. People are not using abortion as a form of birth control, like they like to put out there. People who are going through this infertility struggle need this healthcare to work towards completing their family. So we just had this conversation. She didn't even realize that a lot of times women aren't seeing their baby for the first time until that 20-week ultrasound. And oftentimes that's when women will find out that there's something wrong with their baby and their baby's not going to survive. And with these abortion bans that are going in across the country, women are going to be forced to carry this child that may not survive. And I just think that's really cruel. It should be, this decision should be up to a woman and her doctors, full stop. So after having this conversation with my mom, she did say, you know, Amanda, you really opened my eyes about this. And she hadn't really researched the proposals that are on the table yet. But she did say after our conversation that she would be voting yes on proposal 3. And she also said my dad would be voting yes on proposal 3 as well. So I've just been trying to share my story with as many people as I can. I'm sure there's so many of you out there who have a really powerful story. So if you're comfortable sharing that with others, I just encourage you to put your heart out there, because right now we are in a fight for our daughters, your granddaughters, our sisters, our friends. What happens in a few weeks is going to be affecting us for years to come. So I just think people look at abortion as a black and white issue, but it's so complicated and it's so personal. Infertility, pregnancy loss, those are all very personal experiences, and women need to be the ones that are in control of making those choices. 1 in 4 women experience a miscarriage in their lifetime. So having access to this appropriate and crucial healthcare is so important.
Yes, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda.
I think that's all I had to say, but I just wanted
Amanda,
to
thank you for, I don't know if you can see the chat, but everyone is just calling you a superhero and thanking you so much for sharing your story. I love when I asked Amanda if she wanted to do this, Julia. She was like, well, Katie, you've had me going out of my comfort zone already a few times this election cycle. Why not do a Zoom call with a celebrity? So Amanda, thank you for
Thank you,
sharing.
Amanda. That was very brave of you to share the story, and you're right to do so. You really
Thank
are.
you.
If Amanda can have conversations like those out there, women, we can talk to our friends. We can talk, that's a tough conversation that takes so much courage.
Yeah.
So, if she can do that, like I can call my friend Sarah, who doesn't ever like to talk about politics, and make sure she's got a voting plan. So Julia and Tanya are going to take the seats and run you guys through this training. So everybody's on Rally and making your contacts with all of your people, just like Amanda does.
Or Julie, not Julia. We got Julia.
Did I just call you?
You called me Julia. That's okay. I don't mind being called Julia. I'm okay with that. But I'm actually Julie. I am Julie Womack. I am the Chief Organizing Officer for Red, Wine, and Blue.
And I'm Tanya Martin. I am a regional organizer in North Carolina.
All right, so you guys ready? Because we are going to get going. You guys are going to start raising money for abortion funds. You are going to talk to your friends because Amanda just inspired you to start talking to your friends. So right now in the chat, say, I am ready. I'm going to do it. Me, yes, go, something. Put something in the chat right now and everybody pull out their phones. What we are going to do, guys, we are, like I said, we are going to start by trying to not only save and protect reproductive rights, but we are going to help women in need at the same time. As Katie went over this program, we are going to, for every 10 friends that you commit to talking to, we are going to give $50 to the your state abortion fund. Or if you say, you know what, I might want to do something else with that, you can also choose to keep that money, you can take it for yourself, use it for something that you need, or you can choose to donate it to your favorite charity. Up to $500. So you guys, this is cool. We're going to do this. Next slide. All right, here's the thing. We, as Katie mentioned, have 4 states that we are targeting, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. So if you're in one of those states, I'm Ohio, Tanya's North Carolina, cool. You're going to use that state because I'm sure you have tons of friends there. If you do not live in one of those states, but you have friends, say you live in Illinois, but you got friends in Pennsylvania, cool. You can get on here too and talk to your friends in Pennsylvania. If you do not have friends in any of those 4 target states, we still need you involved because we are having a lot of women having a lot of conversations and they need support. So we're going to talk to you about what you can do if you live in another state and would like to be involved. So next slide, and I'm kicking it to Tanya.
That's right. Every great team needs great coaches. And you could be a troublemaker coach, which is super. It's a great opportunity for you to get involved. Now, you'll get assigned 5 to 10 women. And they're going to be women in states that need our help, that are in our target states. And so what you'll do is you'll reach out to your assigned group weekly, and you'll just make sure that they have the support that they need, and you'll see if they need any help with anything. You only need to have 5 hours a week of time that you can commit to this. And if you have more, we'll take it. Okay. And we'll also offer you training. And this team is going to give you a super ton of support. So don't worry about that. Now, if you want to learn more about how to do this, we're going to have you can join a short 30-minute info section, or we're going to be dropping down a link in the chat of a way that you can get on board and become a troublemaker coach.
Okay. Next slide, please. So I hope my team can get those links and start dropping those, please. So on your phone, you guys ready to go? Here we go. Or on your laptop, if you want to use that, go to rwbvotes.com, or you can text trouble to 59868. Or if you can just scan that QR code right now. However, we want to make it super easy, whatever works best for you. Let's do that. Let us know if that's going well for you in the chat. Let us know when you're in, just say I'm in, and let's see that chat blow up. So next slide, please. All right, so this is so easy. Just like Katie said, this is easier than any video game your child plays. So what you're going to do is you're going to get in there. You're going to see this landing page. That means you were in the right place. So let's click on and get started there. Next slide. Okay, and this landing page, second landing page here tells you everything you need to know about the program, about putting in 10 friends, how much money you can generate. So great, let's get started. So click on that. First thing, pick your state. Super easy. Whatever state you want to make outreach to your friends, just pick your state. And then the next screen is going to pop up and it's going to ask you, do you want the money to go to abortion funds, or do you want the money to come to you for you to do whatever you want to do with those funds? So you just make your choice there. And then next slide, you're going to see, it's going to depend a little bit. If you are choosing to donate to an abortion fund, it's going to ask for your phone number so that we can link your choice to your account that you're about to set up. If you choose to keep the money and have it sent to you, there's going to be a few more questions like email, address, phone number, because we need to set up a way to get you those funds. So you'll get an email about that. It's called bill.com, and they will set up an account to get you paid. So anyways, you're going to go through that process. So hopefully you are in there, and that's it. You have now made your decision. You are funding an abortion fund. You're taking the money for yourself. You picked your state. So let's click get started.
Super easy, right? Okay, so now all we have to do is, you see, you can sign in from Google, or you can use any email that you want to use. So you're going to just put that email in there. You're going to get a confirmation code. We don't do the passwords here, so don't have to worry about that. The next slide is we're going to enter your name. That's pretty easy. The next slide, we're going to enter your address. And we do this all the time, so that shouldn't be hard for you. And then the next slide, we just want to know how we can stay in touch with you. And we're going to go to the next slide. It's super easy. Now, there's a study being done right now on relational organizing. Your data will not be shared. And if you want to participate, you can. And if you choose not to, that's okay too. So the next slide is that's it. You are signed up and you're ready to start some good trouble by entering your first contact.
All right, so that's what we're going to do next. Next slide, we're going to enter your first contact. So you're going to tip that add contact button. Now, right now, your best friend, your significant other, your adult child, whatever you want, you're going to just pick a name right now and we're going to get started. So the first thing you need to do is enter their legal name, because you are matching them to the voter file. You're going to get really good information by doing this, and we're going to go through that in a second. But their legal names. So if your best friend is named Elizabeth and she goes by Beth, you need to put Elizabeth in because that's her legal name. So legal name there. Next slide, please. And then easy, city, state, where do they live? Next slide. And then their age or their age range. Okay. Next slide. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have now entered your first contact. And we, as you noticed, did not ask for their email and we did not ask for their phone number because we are not contacting your friends. We want you to contact your friends. That is the whole point of relational organizing. So you have now entered a contact and we are going to go and match them to the voter file. So next slide. Okay, easy. Here's their account. You click on their name. You just set this up. There's a button there that says match to voter file. You're going to check that. Next slide. And then what's going to pop up is you are going to see all of the people in the voter file who match that information that you just entered, okay? So if your friend's named Julie Womack, there may only be one or two because that's not a very common name. My maiden name is Smith. So if it is Julie Smith, there's probably going to be about 20 people that match. So all you're going to do is look at that list of people and find your friend. It's easy. Their street will be on there. You just click, you made a match. Next slide. And that's it. You have made a match. So here is the good information that you can get from this. So number one, you're going to get to see the voting history. Does your friend normally vote? Did they vote in the 2018 midterms? Did they vote in the 2020 presidential? If they did not, and you might be surprised when you get that information, people who you think vote did not. It's important to have that conversation about voting. Maybe they did vote, so that's great. Now you need to have that conversation about making sure they vote all the way down the ballot and that they know what is at stake. And we have things you can send them to help with that. Next slide, please. The other really great information that you can get is you're going to be able to see what's the status of your friend in terms of voting. Have they requested an absentee ballot? Have they already voted? Here's the thing that I found out. I have a lot of friends who vote all the time, who I think are pretty, politically active. They're not maybe as crazy as I am, or maybe Tanya is, but they pay attention. They haven't requested their ballot yet. I just checked on all of them. They have not requested. So I need to be reaching out. So you're going to get really good information by matching to the voter file and getting, finding out who you need to talk to and what you need to talk to them about. Next slide. And then you keep entering your contacts. Okay, you've entered one. Congratulations, you did a great job. Keep entering them. Think of 10, 15, 20 friends. And what's going to happen is you're going to have this lovely dashboard here that you can keep track, manage your outreach. Next slide. Back to Tanya.
Now it's time to have fun, which means just doing what you do all the time, talking to your friends and your family that you put in as your contacts. So you're going to just, next slide. Is that it? Yes. So we're going to click on your friend's name and you're going to see some questions that you could kind of get started on talking to them about, some suggestions that you have, that we have, that it's an easier way to start these conversations. Next slide. Oh. Now, can we go back to the other slide?
We jumped a little far ahead. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Because this is the best part, honestly. I mean, I love it. The voting guides. So in these states, you can actually send your friends an entire guide to voting and to the midterms. And it has so many good information for you to share with them. And it also makes you feel good because now you actually know what's really happening. So you feel much more involved in the whole process. And you can also get a ballot lookup by just putting in your address. Your whole entire ballot will pull up. And so you can kind of go in and you can look and see how different candidates fall on different issues, which is super fun for you to do this before you go in. And so when you go into the polls, you know exactly who you're going to vote for. You've already kind of looked at it. So I think it's pretty easy. You can copy the link. You can send it however you want. I mean, if you use text, email, WhatsApp, I mean, any way you like to do it. It's just getting more people involved and giving them the resources that they need so they can make good choices.
Awesome. All right, guys. You have entered a contact. So now what we need you to do, as like I said, you need to enter 10, because if you enter 10, match them to the voter file, $50. Bam, you just earned $50 for an abortion fund or to send to you for your charity. So keep adding those contacts. There's also really fun confetti when you get the 10 in. So please, you want to see the confetti. The confetti is fun. The confetti is fun. All right, now, guys, we're going to bring Julia back on and have a little conversation. So please, in the chat, tell her, did you do it? Did you enter a contact? Please say hell yes. Hell yes, I entered some contacts. All right, Julia, so you have now got an overview of our program. What did you think about that? And do you have any contacts you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to add those people right away?
I do. Actually, it's interesting because I have some family. I do. I have contacts in North Carolina and in Ohio, both. And by the way, my mom is from Ohio, and I have two really good friends from Cleveland. And so I do have contacts, Sarah and Paula and Diane. I have a big a big-ish group of folks there. But it's interesting. This is really a very effective way of communicating with people, this relational organizing. I'm a believer in it, but sometimes it's hard to do, isn't it though, right? I mean, it's got its challenges. I have got people in my own family that I do not see eye to eye with on certain political matters. And that can be awkward. And I've had those awkward conversations, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but I'm all for it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have the conversation.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, how are you going to start these conversations? Like, is it okay? Is it easy for you to start conversations like this, do you think?
For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie. It's hard for me. I would imagine you guys are better at it. But for me, it doesn't mean I haven't done it, but I have to work really hard to stay calm. Is that okay for me to say? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, sometimes if I'm really on the opposite side of something, of an issue with someone, abortion, for example, that is hard for me to keep my cool. I do it. And that's my challenge, and I have done it, but I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing in the world. I don't mean to discourage anyone from doing it. I urge you to do it, but I'm also not going to gild it, because I don't want to be a liar about this. I think it can be tricky. And that's why the upside is so up, because if you can connect with people in a personal way about these issues, like I believe it was Amanda who was speaking earlier, her own personal experience with pregnancy, and I had a similar experience to hers, and it's so private, and sharing that kind of stuff, it's your most private stuff. Sharing it is sometimes hard to do, but it is a way of connecting with other human beings that can reap rewards, by the way, beyond this moment of politics. It's a way of connecting with them in a very human way that can, I don't know, I think it can open doors to all kinds of communication well beyond the politics of the moment.
Julie, I'm glad you actually said that it's sometimes difficult for you to have those conversations, because that's a really great segue into our next segment. We have our communications guru, Jess, and she's going to be talking to Julie Collins, who's our national organizer, and Ray Ingram, who is our deputy organizing officer, about having these real life conversations, kind of what Amanda just said. And you guys, I think it's really fair to say you're going to try to find common ground with people. You're going to send them our resources, because it's a really great first step of something just to reach out and send to somebody to kind of start that conversation. But some of these conversations you're not going to change minds overnight. This might be a long-term process, but it's worth the time. So thank you, Julia, for being candid about that. And we are going to kick it to Jess McIntosh, our messaging guru, and Julie and Ray. And we'll be back to Julia in just a little bit.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jess McIntosh. I want to say thank you all so much for taking this hour out of your night to do this. Thank you, Julia, for taking this hour out of your night to do this, and also for your honesty. It helps us do hard things when we acknowledge that things can be hard. Yes. But like Katie was saying before, when we all have the support of each other, these things get a lot less hard, and they do get less hard the more you do it. And if you understand that sometimes this is a long game, and the conversation that you start this year might not work out until 3 election cycles later, just like Amanda's mom, that is still a win. So everybody has seen me give this message training 1,000 times at this point. And at this point, we are 12 days out, and you already know most of how to do this, but brief recap. We're going to fight disinformation with facts. We're going to stand up for our beliefs, because our beliefs are that our kids should be taken care of. They should grow up in safety. They should be treated with respect and dignity, regardless of who they are and how they identify. Those beliefs are worth standing up for. Our bodily autonomy matters. Our ability to plan our own families matter. Our freedom to learn matters. And it is okay to feel strongly about those things. When we find somebody that we disagree with, we're going to find common ground with them. It is very likely that they have heard some of this really disturbing information that is out there, this disinformation that's floating around on the internet. They might have real, genuine concerns about some of that. And those concerns probably come from being concerned for the safety and well-being of their kids. Well, the good news is you are also concerned for the safety and well-being of your kids. So let's start the conversation from there, where we are meeting them where they are. We are agreeing on that concern. And then we're saying, that's why I care about voting this year. That's why I'm going to vote all the way down the ballot. That's why I want to elect leaders who feel the same way that you and I do, that we need to protect our kids. So we've all heard the training now. We want to talk about how it's working in the real world with 12 days to go. So I'm so excited that I have Ray and Julie here, because they spend a lot more time talking to people than I do. Ray, Julie, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I want to start with Ray. On the common ground piece, you have such an interesting story as a military spouse in the places that you are about how to find common ground and how to have those long game conversations. So how does it work for you?
Well, Jess, thanks so much for having me. And, many moons ago, back in 2010, I fell in love with a person while working at the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, better known as the AFL-CIO. And I was organizing to support labor-endorsed candidates, and I met my husband. And on our first date, he said, you know what, I'm going to join the Navy. And I was like, you're kind of old to join the Navy. Like, I don't know about that. But I was on board because I am the daughter of an Army veteran. And now I'm the daughter-in-law of Navy vets as well. And so as we traversed that trip, like that path, we moved to Virginia Beach, which Virginia Beach, strangely enough, is very conservative. And so I started working at a financial institution. I started meeting women who were very conservative and were like, I'm only going to vote with my husband. I was like, why would you do that? That seems so strange. Why wouldn't you vote in your own interests? And so I befriended several women, and one of my best friends, Bethany, is from rural Pennsylvania, and she would talk to me about like cocktails, recipes, junior league, but she really wouldn't talk to me about politics. And so then in 2016, I was really devastated the day after the election. I took half a day off even. And she was like, why are you so upset? And I was like, why wouldn't you be upset? We have a bigot that's been elected. Like, why wouldn't you be upset? And she was like, Ray, chill out. Like, let's just go out for cocktails. And shortly after that, I transitioned back into politics as I'd been out of politics for a while. And so fast forward till now, we've been at several duty stations. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida now, and she is as well. And we've been able to find common ground on issues that affect our daughters. And when we first met, we were single women. We weren't even married at the time. And then we both got married. And then we both have had children. And we have daughters now. She has 2 daughters and I have 1. And she came to me and was like, Ray, you've been talking about this stuff for a long time. And I want to make sure that my daughters have the same rights that I had. And I was like, bingo, I told you so, like, let's do it. And so this election cycle, she will be voting for common sense, pragmatic, scientific oriented folks here in Florida. And in Florida, as you all know, we have 2 really big elections happening at the federal level and so many other things happening at the local level. And so I'm encouraging her to vote up and down the ballot, full stop, and not even just to stop here. Like, let's think about school board next year and other things. And so she's influencing even her friends. And I'm just glad that I didn't give up on her. I knew that our friendship was most important. And I just kept on saying, like, you know what? I got my early voting stuff. Or, oh, did you see that school board meeting? Did you see that article? Did you see DeSantis act a fool there? And with just talking to her in small bits, little by little, and just also interspersing our regular stuff, being moms, being working professionals, she gets it now. And so it took from 2014 to 2022 for her to stop voting with her husband and to understand that she needs to vote for herself and for her daughters. And so I'm very proud of being able to be an influence and to be an influence to so many others in the community I live in here in Jacksonville, Florida.
And we're proud of you. I mean, look what you did. And look what you did. You created a pathway that allowed her to ask questions, to know where you stood. You didn't hide your beliefs. You were clear about them, but you gave her the permission structure that she needed to have that conversation even in her own head. Because if you've got friends who are saying things like, I just vote with my husband, there's a little bit of internal work that needs to be done.
I was like,
we're gonna move along. So you
yeah.
gave her the space to do that. And that was so, so critical. Julie, you're the mom of grown daughters. You have, I can't even imagine the evolution of the conversations that you have had as they have grown. Tell me in these final 12 days, what do you think people should know about talking to their friends in those early steps? Like, is it the fact that we both have kids? Is it the fact that we both live here? Like, what's your best advice for people who are picking up the phone for the first time and their heart's really pounding and they're not sure how to get it started?
Well, I always say, feel the fear and do it anyway. This is absolutely a very, very critical time. My daughters are both, well, my youngest will be turning 30 here in about 2 months, I'm sorry. So she doesn't like me to tell that, but both of them are in their 30s.
30s, great.
And, it's really, this is so much of a healthcare issue for me. My mother died a month and 6 days after my baby sister was born. I was 18. My mother was 38. It was a month before her 39th birthday and my 19th birthday. And so, Black maternal health and the way that Black women are treated in the healthcare system is just absolutely, I have stories for days, about how that works. What I want is better for my girls. I just want absolutely better for my girls. And these laws take us backwards, and so that's why,
Yes.
I'm voting up and down the ticket. That's why this is so important to me. That's why this election in particular is very important. And as I'm talking to ladies, and especially ladies who, profess their allyship, I express to them why this is so very important when you are, wanting to be my ally, and we want to have, equal footing in healthcare. And we will not have equal footing in healthcare if, these laws are allowed to persist. So that's why this is very important to me. I also have two little nieces who are 10 and 8. And I don't want them, growing up in some kind of draconian, Handmaid's Tale kind of reality. I don't want that for them. I want them to have reproductive freedom as well. And, there are just so many things that can happen when you are pregnant that could take you clean out of here. And I've seen it, happen. And so, I want women to be safe. This is not about people doing something crazy for birth control. This is about women's health care. This is no different than going and getting treated for a cold or the flu or, God forbid, cancer or all those things. This is, pregnancy is a condition that you hope turns out wonderful and you bring home that bundle of joy, but it isn't that way always for everyone. As Amanda stated earlier, as Julia stated earlier. And so it is just absolutely vital and critical that we are allowed to have our health care, and that doctors don't have to wait until you're dying and bleeding out to help you, or waiting till the baby dies for you to help, for them to help you. So we've got to fight. We got 12 days, and this is about the lives of women and young girls, because I live in Ohio and we had the 10-year-old. And 10-year-olds should not be giving birth. That's just absolutely insane. If you want to know how devastating that can be, look in countries that don't have our kind of healthcare and see what that does to a 10-year-old's body. It's awful. We have to maintain our level of healthcare. We just have to, and we need everybody talking about it. This is not a time to be fearful. Keep going, and if somebody is just really a firm no means next opportunity, next opportunity, keep going, get your 10 friends, get 10 more, keep going.
There are two specific things that you said that I really want to highlight here. One is, if you get a no, go to the next opportunity. We have 12 days. This is not the time to change the hearts and minds. This is the time to start that permission structure that Ray taught us about. You will continue that conversation later. Protect the space in your head. It is so important. If somebody is infuriating you with their refusal to listen, stop talking to them. It's okay. Move on to the next person on your list. We got to keep going. More rally contacts. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. The second thing is to ground yourself in why you are doing this. When your heart is pounding and you're feeling like you're going to throw up, if you're just standing at the school drop-off ready to ask your buddy whether or not they're ready to vote, but you feel like you're going to throw up, think about your nieces, think about your mom, think about your kid, think about the reason why you're on here tonight at 9:27 p.m. is because of someone. So ground yourself in that reason and take the plunge. And honestly, it's probably gonna be just fine. Truth is, the vast majority of this country agrees with us on the issues that we're talking about tonight. It is the media and it is Republicans that make it feel like it's controversial. It's actually fairly settled. You will probably ask your friend whether or not they're planning to vote, and they will say, oh no, I haven't yet, but I know I need to. And then you are in. So take a deep breath, take the plunge, get it done. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ray and Julie, honestly, for all of the work. Thank you, everybody, for all of the work that you guys are doing. I truly believe that you are saving democracy. There's nobody doing more important things. Katie Paris, Janice Robinson, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, do you want to take us out?
Julie, thank you so much. Julie, one last question for you. So what gives you hope as we get ready to get off tonight?
You do. Everybody on
Oh,
this call does. I'm very buoyed by being a part of this evening. I'm not kidding. I find this so, I think it's fundamental. I mean, it makes me cry. It's so fundamentally beautiful. I loved what was being said about next opportunity. You know, it's funny because when we're going into this and you have that heart pounding moment, like, is it gonna get tense? Is it gonna, but we may bump heads. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that can happen for real? Say you could be shut down by your friend to whom you're speaking, and then you move on. You have nothing to lose except by not engaging. That's losing. So I really encourage everybody on this call tonight and beyond to be a part of engagement, because that's our ticket out of this hot mess that we're in the middle of right now. And and to not engage is the ticket to nowhere. So please do so. And know that I am heartened and uplifted by everybody here today. And I mean that from my heart and soul. I just think this is totally God's work that you're doing. And I wish you every good possible thing. I really do, from my heart.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Julia.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We feel the winds at our back because of you tonight. Thank you.
Oh.
And to everyone who has participated with us tonight. If you are ready to take your ticket to get out of this hot mess, who wants a ticket to get out of this hot mess? Like, tell me, raise your hand by saying, yes, me, I
Yes,
do.
please.
Yes,
I do.
please. In the chat, yes. I think that I just like, can I please have that ticket, Janice?
Yeah, you can have it.
Thank you. I would like to sit next
We
to
have to
you.
go
After-
together.
yes.
We are.
All right. And the way we're getting on the train, the way we're getting our tickets out of this hot mess is by keeping these connections with each other and everyone else we know. Seriously, what do you have to lose? That one awkward moment that probably ends in that person thanking you for sharing a voting guide with them, for sharing them our ballot lookup where they can put in their address and know before they go who's actually on their ballot and what their positions are on key issues. You can be a helper. Mr. Rogers taught us a long time ago that helpers are well loved and well liked. So let's just accept that invitation from us to you to be that helper who you are in all the rest of your life anyway. So thank you so much to Julia and to everyone who is here with us tonight. How much fun was this?
Oh, this was so much fun.
I want to stay in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Do this with Janice.
Time for the after
Yes.
party.
Guys, seriously, Janice is hosting an after party.
Oh, I
So
wish
we
I
got
was with
to
you
go.
guys.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.